Hello and welcome to a special Earth Day edition of Storytime with Teacher Beth. I'm Teacher Beth and today we'll be reading Franklin Plants a Tree. If you have this story and you'd like to read along, go ahead and grab your copy. Let's get started. Franklin Plants a Tree. Franklin could climb trees and swing from branches. He liked to play with his friends at the treehouse and go for walks with his family and friends in the woods. So, Franklin was excited when he learned that Mr. Heron was giving away trees for Earth Day. He could hardly wait to have his own tree in his own backyard. On Earth Day, Franklin got up early and dug a huge hole right outside his bedroom window. He wanted to plant his tree as soon as he got home. Tonight, he invited his friends over to build a new treehouse. Tomorrow, he'd look for an old tire and make a swing. Franklin grabbed his wagon and hurried off. He didn't want all the big trees to be taken. In the park, a large crowd was lined up in front of Mr. Heron. Franklin saw lots of boxes, but he didn't see the trees. Maybe they're not here yet, he thought. Then he saw Rabbit leaving. "Don't you want a tree?" Franklin asked. "I have one," Rabbit replied, tapping his knapsack. Franklin was confused. Rabbit reached into his knapsack and pulled out a tiny tree. "That's not a tree," Franklin exclaimed. "That's a twig." "It's a baby tree, Franklin," replied Beaver. "It's called a sapling. Mine's an ash and Rabbit has an oak." "Well, I'm not getting a sapling," Franklin declared. "My tree has to be big enough to play in today." But when Franklin got to the front of the line, Mr. Heron gave him a sapling the same size as the others. "Could I have something bigger?" asked Franklin. "This is a sugar maple," replied Mr. Heron. "Many years from now, it will be very big indeed." Franklin nodded sadly. He put the sapling in his wagon and walked slowly home. Franklin sighed as he stared at the huge hole in his backyard. He shoveled earth back in until the hole was small. Then he went to get a sugar maple, but the sapling wasn't there. Franklin looked all around the garden and up and down the lane. It must have fallen out on the way home, he decided. At lunchtime, Franklin told his parents about losing his tree. "But it doesn't matter," he said. "It wasn't big enough to play in." "Big or little, you promised to care for it," said his father. Franklin slumped down in his chair. "All right," he sighed. "I'll go look again." Franklin followed the path back to the park. By the pond, she saw Beaver. Her sapling was tied to a big stick marked with notches. "It's a growth chart," Beaver explained. "In 3 years, my tree will be taller than me." Thought Franklin. He began to look a little harder. In the meadow, Franklin saw Rabbit with a watering can. "I've planted my sapling where it can get lots of fresh air and sunshine," exclaimed Rabbit. "I'm going to water it every day," he added. Franklin thought about the sugar maple. It didn't get sunshine and fresh air and water. It would never be taller than him. Franklin started to hurry. Near the woods, Franklin saw a bear painting a small fence bright red. Inside it was Bear's sapling. "This will protect my pine tree until it's big and strong," Bear explained. "I don't want anyone to step on it by mistake." Franklin thought about someone stepping on his sugar maple. If that happened, it would never grow big and strong and be taller than him. Franklin told Bear everything. "I've looked all over," Franklin moaned. "Now what do I do?" "Maybe someone found your tree and gave it back to Mr. Heron," Bear suggested. Franklin cheered up and ran off to find Mr. Heron. Back at the park, Franklin saw Mr. Heron packing up boxes. "How's your sapling doing in its new home?" Mr. Heron asked. "I lost my tree, Mr. Heron," Franklin exclaimed. "I've looked everywhere, but I can't find it." Mr. Heron reached into a box and lifted out a sapling. "Is this it, Franklin?" he asked. "Someone found it on the path." My tree, cried Franklin. Thank you, Mr. Heron. I'm going to plant it right away. Mr. Heron smiled. Before Franklin left, Mr. Heron showed him a photograph. That's me when I was your age, he explained, planting my first tree. Did it grow? Franklin asked. It sure did, Mr. Heron laughed. We're standing under it. Franklin looked way, way up. You planted the treehouse tree? He exclaimed. Then Franklin looked down at a sapling. He said thoughtfully. Franklin hurried home, his sapling held safely in his arms. He planted it and watered it, and then he checked on it every day. And every day, Franklin was sure that his tree grew a little taller and a little stronger, just like Franklin. The end. All right, if you enjoyed our story, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell, and I'll see you next time on Storytime with Teacher Beth. Bye.